like I should feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should go. Go. Feel like I should go. Feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should go.
Suddenly, Suho received a new urgent quest from the system, and it had a simple objective: defeat Lee Min-sung, currently possessed by the Ataram Apostle, in order to obtain his memories. Because of this, Suho was now sure that winning this fight was important. He realized that for the first time in his life, he might have to kill a person to complete a quest. So he prepared his dagger and aimed it at Min-sung. Meanwhile, back in the Paju Field dungeon, where Teal's original body was located, Teal was deep in thought. After coming to understand the various emotions of humans, he had begun to notice a strange feeling inside himself. A feeling where many changes were taking place. From the memories within one of the 3 fragments of his main body, he thought he now understood the feeling of facing the darkness. It was a feeling of curiosity toward a powerful person from another dimension who had managed to single-handedly stop the entire army of a whole dimension. He simply became curious about the darkness that looked lonely while standing alongside its army. Teal wondered if he would get the answer to his question from Suho, the one standing before him now. Blue Kasaka Venom Fang was the first to attack with tremendous force, charging at Min-sung. But Min-sung stood his ground unfazed. As Venom Fang approached, Min-sung easily deleted him with a single quick slash. The beast was split down the middle from the mouth. As Venom Fang's body hit the ground, Min-sung used his wings as a shield from the incoming pressure. Then peeking through the gap in his wings, he saw that Suho was already standing in front of him. He was surprised to see Suho charging toward him with great speed and intensity in his eyes. But Min-sung remained unfazed and blocked the strong left punch from Suho. Min-sung hadn't expected that Suho would personally fight him and only use his shadow soldiers as support and distractions. He asked himself how confident Suho really was in close combat. Suho followed up with multiple punches, but Min-sung still managed to block them. Finally, Min-sung launched a counterattack after being on the defensive for a while, but Suho bent backwards and easily dodged the slash. Zooming out from the fight, we can see that Suho had 2 giant desert centipede shadow soldiers ready to support from behind, but both got hit by Min-sung's wide attack. But unexpectedly from the side, Essel quickly flanked Min-sung's blind spot and attacked him with her spear. Min-sung dodged it easily by just moving his neck. He also caught the spear near its head, and because both he and Essel were gripping it tightly, he lifted Essel into the air, dangling. Min-sung quickly noticed that Essel was not one of Suho's shadow soldiers. Essel teared up in fear because of Min-sung's intimidating presence, but she still managed to provide enough distraction for Suho to approach undetected and deliver a powerful flying left kick. Suho struck Min-sung directly in the cheek, which also caused Essel to break free from Min-sung's grip. Min-sung felt the power of that attack, but it wasn't strong enough to knock him down. It only served to make him angrier. He asked Suho why he wasn't just relying on his shadow soldiers for the fight. Suho reflected on what Min-sung said, then responded that if Min-sung really wanted to see his shadow soldiers in action, he would show them to him. Min-sung didn't expect that answer, so he braced himself for Suho's next move. But before he could react, he was already grabbed by the hands of Shikika, the tomb's warden, Suho's elite-level shadow soldier. We then see Shikika using sand magic to completely wrap Min-sung. Min-sung looked back to see where Shika was standing, and he could no longer move from his position, only glaring at Shika. While he was restrained, Suho prepared to attack and began charging power into his right-hand gauntlet. Thanks to his skill, it was second nature for Suho to use ruler's authority to condense mana and energy into his attack, the power of which now manifested like liquefied electricity bending gravity. Min-sung stood his ground with a nonchalant expression as the attack came. The explosive force of Suho's punch was so strong that even Shika was pushed back from holding Min-sung. In Min-sung's silhouette, we can see that he appeared to take the full force steadily. Even Suho wasn't immune to the intensity of his own attack and was pushed backward, skidding as a massive cloud of smoke filled the area. According to Suho, the thick smoke came from the sand explosion that had wrapped around Min-sung. As the smoke dispersed, we see Min-sung's blurry silhouette in the glowing left eye bearing the Ataram symbol. Teal-possessed Min-sung said that in this fight, it seemed like he wouldn't be able to feel the same sense of exhilaration that he once had. Then Suho suddenly received a surprising slash attack from Min-sung. And just like the speed Min-sung had shown during his escape at the Payu Field dungeon, we saw it again here. After slashing Suho, he broke Essel's spear and sliced the High Troll shadow soldier in half. Essel took a deep wound to her shoulder from the attack, and the High Troll screamed in pain from being split. Suho was stunned by what just happened and couldn't hide the fear and anxiety in his eyes. Min-sung stood still, disappointed with the battle, treating it like child's play. Teal-possessed Min-sung explained to Suho that the soldiers of darkness he had seen before under the Shadow Monarch were veteran warriors who each had their own will. When fighting the Shadow Monarch's army, you would feel like you were facing a trained military force. The power Suho possessed was similar to that. However, Teal said that Suho's ability could also be considered completely different. We then see that Essel was no longer in condition to fight, and it also looked like Suho's current strength was not enough to win this battle. Min-sung told Suho that even he couldn't believe that someone who possessed the same authority as the Monarch of Shadows had no capability to win this fight. According to Min-sung, Suho was far too weak. Because of this, Suho took a moment to contemplate during the battle. He was frustrated by how much stronger Min-sung had become since being possessed by the Edorim Apostle. Now Min-sung's strength could truly be compared to an S rank. Min-sung rushed towards Suho, who remained in a defensive stance. While attacking, Min-sung told Suho that the reason the darkness of the Shadow Monarch seemed so lonely was because there was no other existence in the universe capable of standing up to his power. According to Min-sung, no one could ever understand someone who was overwhelmingly strong. Suho thought about Min-sung's words as he continued blocking the attacks using his gauntlets. He couldn't believe that. According to Teal, his father seemed lonely. After several consecutive blocks using Vulcan's horn, it suddenly began to crack, and before long, it shattered into pieces. A system notice confirmed that it had completely broken. Now, with no means to block, Suho was immediately stabbed by Min-sung's sword in the chest. Suho coughed up blood from the blow, and Essel screamed out in desperation from afar. From Teal's original body, we could see in his eyes the disdain he held for Suho. He said that since Suho had no idea about the true power he possessed, he planned to steal the authority of darkness from him. While Suho endured the pain and tried to pull the sword out of his chest, Teal mentally laid out his plan to convert Suho into a believer so he could do everything necessary to obtain Suho's power. Once he stole it, Teal believed he would finally understand the feeling of darkness, the way the Shadow Monarch had. Still struggling to remove the blade from his chest, Suho thought about what Teal-possessed Min-sung had told him earlier regarding his lack of understanding of his own power. He then remembered the things Min-sung had told him before being possessed, how he lacked personality and the courage to make difficult decisions. This led Suho to ask himself if there was something else he needed to become stronger other than stats and skills. We now go into a flashback where we see Beirut eating popcorn while watching TV with Suho in his living room. Beirut asked Suho why he didn't use his shadow transform weapons. Suho explained that it was because the attack power stat of Vulcan's horn was higher than that of the shadow weapon. On top of that, Suho said it was already too taxing for him to fight while using his bond skill, ruler's authority, and at the same time commanding his shadow soldiers. He wasn't confident whether he could still manage to use a shadow transform weapon alongside all of those. Beirut responded by saying that he was sure Suho could use it effortlessly because he was a genius. But Suho said it was fine even if he never used the shadow transform weapons. He further explained to Beirut that one more reason was because of what Beirut had told him before, that his father never used shadow transformation in battle. Suho believed that his father had a reason for not using it and that nothing different would happen even if he tried otherwise. Beirut was left speechless and said that if that was what Suho believed, then there was nothing more he could say. In a consciousness imagery, we see Suho holding a pencil and drawing on a canvas. He asked himself when he had started defining the limits of his own abilities. He wondered if it came from the habit of compromising every time he failed back in the days before he awakened. As he reflected, Suho realized that it had been a long time since he had last drawn a picture after becoming an awakened. It used to be a hobby he truly loved. Then Suho remembered what Min-sung had told him, that he didn't even know what he truly wanted. And unfortunately, Suho believed that. In the image of the pencil snapping in half, Suho thought to himself that he was leaving his reunion with his father and his eventual meeting with his missing mother to the system once he reached a sufficient level of strength. He admitted to himself that the reason he wanted to grow stronger was because he never truly saw any strength inside himself. He also asked himself why. From the very beginning, he had been trying to follow in his father's footsteps, when what his father really needed wasn't just a copy of himself. Then in the image of his hand putting the pencil back together, ready to draw again, Suho thought to himself that his conviction was now solid. To find the one thing that only he could do. Back in the present reality, we see a bloodied Suho forcing his right hand upward and uttering the word arise, even while still impaled by Min-sung's sword. This reminded Min-sung that shadow soldiers were immortal and could return even after dying, even in the middle of battle. As Min-sung saw the shadow soldiers reappearing, he said that no matter how many times they attacked him, they would never be a match for him. Meanwhile, in Teal's true body, we see a look of genuine shock mixed with curiosity as he witnessed something for the first time. The fusion of shadow soldiers with one another. He couldn't believe that what he was now up against was a chimera. It was clearly a unique new shadow soldier creature, a literal fusion of Sheikah, the high troll, the centipede, and the serpent. Essel was shocked as she saw Gray suddenly separate from his bond skill with Suho. Meanwhile, the bloodied Suho continued to push forward, forcing himself to stay conscious and keep fighting. To understand Suho's feelings, let us go to a flashback during a Christmas season when Suho was still a child and walking around the city with his parents, Sung Jin-Woo and Cha Hai-in. Suho happily shouted to his parents that he wanted to become a police officer when he grew up. Jin-Woo let out a surprised, "Huh?" at what his son said. So Suho explained that it was because his dad looked so cool. Suho asked if he could become a police officer, and if not a police officer, then maybe an athlete like his mom. He then asked if he became an athlete, would he also become strong like his mom? At first, his parents couldn't give him an answer, but when he asked his mom if it was okay for him to dream of those things, she smiled and patted his head. Cha Hai-in told Suho that ever since he was born into this world, she and her husband had already made a decision together. And that decision was to never interfere with Suho's dreams or what he wanted to do in life. Suho was free to do whatever he wanted. Suho just pouted upon hearing this from his mom. He said the reason was because he wanted to be strong and cool like his mom and dad. His mom happily told him that if that was what he truly wanted, then he was also free to pursue that. But her only reminder was that he should always ask himself first if he was sure of what he wanted. Back to Suho's present consciousness, he wondered why those words his mother once told him suddenly came back to him. But more importantly, Suho realized that at a certain point in his life, he had suddenly stopped asking himself if he actually liked what he was doing, and instead he simply kept chasing after his father. In a later flashback, we see Suho's teacher, Lim, who was amazed by the ant drawing Suho had made during an art class. Lim told Suho that a person's drawing skills wouldn't grow if they only kept drawing the same thing over and over. Suho agreed and showed Lim that if he looked closely at his drawings, there were slight differences among them. Lim said that Suho's drawings were truly special. Suho was puzzled by his words and wondered if he was being sarcastic. As Lim looked at the beautiful drawings of various ants, he said that it was typical for an artist to get stuck in a pattern when drawing the same thing repeatedly. But in Suho's case, he seemed to become even freer the more he drew. This was clearly seen in one of Suho's iterations that caught Lim's attention. Lim even asked if Suho could still call that one an ant since its appearance looked monstrous and demonic, and it was even engulfed in flames. Back again to Suho's present consciousness, he realized that the reason he might have obtained the shadow form change ability faster than his father was because the system matched that ability to his personal traits. And while Suho was still impaled by Minsong's sword, he screamed in his mind that he would no longer reject the combat style that utilized shadow form change. From now on, Suho would no longer be restricted to a fixed form of combat. Instead, he would draw out an unbound shadow. So Suho's next move using the power of shadows was to manipulate the shadows of his shadow soldiers and pull them into his own body. We could see on Minsong's face that he didn't understand what was happening. Beirut was completely shocked by this unusual phenomenon, and even he was affected by the pulling force of the shadows heading towards Suho. Because of this, Beirut was starting to have trouble maintaining his form. Frightened, he flew over to Essel, who caught him. Essel asked what was happening to their young monarch. Before answering, Beirut calmed down because he was now feeling better. He told Essel that he also didn't really understand what was happening to Suho, but whatever it was, he was sure that Suho was breaking out of his shell in this scenario. Now that Suho had absorbed many shadows into his body, he once again released an aura. Minsong pondered deeply, wondering if Suho really had some latent potential hidden inside him. Minsong thought this could be dangerous for him, so he decided he needed to bring Suho to a near-death state quickly so he could immediately administer a star fragment to him. But Minsong was shocked when unexpectedly a sharp shadow spike rapidly shot toward his neck. It turned out to be a shadow spike from Suho himself, which had solidified into a deadly weapon. But Minsong reacted quickly and managed to block and shatter the spike with his sword. He was also forced to back away, and finally Suho was freed from being impaled by Minsong. As he flew through the air, Minsong frowned and wondered if the information he had about Earth Hunters being unable to grow an ability was wrong. He questioned whether what happened to Suho now was a reawakening. Then we see that using the very power of shadows, Suho healed the large wound on his chest caused by Minsong's impalement. Next, we see that from behind Suho, he was now releasing an aura with a unique clean sharpness. In his eyes, we could see his focus as he activated the shadow form change ability to form a full left arm, shoulder brace, and shadow gauntlet combo. Based on how cool it looked, it seemed like the inspiration came from the power of Sheikah's shadow. We then see Shika himself behind Suho, still present and supporting the fight. It looked like the individuality of Suho's shadow soldiers remained intact even after he used their bodies for shadow form change. Suho still didn't fully understand the power of shadows or his new ability. Maybe it was just a simple weaponization of the shadow soldiers. But due to the traits of the shadows that allowed transformation, it seemed like Suho could apply this ability in various methods. Venom Fang attacked Minsong again, and this time it looked like his speed had improved. But it still wasn't enough because Minsong once again sliced Venom Fang in half from the mouth. After that, the High Troll attacked from Minsong's rear flank. The High Troll delivered a powerful smash, but he was surprised to find that Minsong had caught and stopped his spiked club with ease. Because of this, Minsong asked Suho if he had already forgotten that he had told him earlier that his shadow soldiers were no match for him. Then Minsong unleashed multiple super-fast simultaneous slashes at the High Troll, who practically vanished from the sheer damage he received. But after that, Minsong suddenly froze because of a strange power he sensed coming from Suho, who was walking toward him while absorbing shadows from somewhere. These shadows were red and layered themselves over Suho's shadow gauntlet, giving it an additional effect. Suho said that if what he was about to do still didn't work, then this fight was definitely over. We then saw that this power came from Essel, and that she and Suho were now using their bond skill, Demon Strike. In the blink of an eye, Suho suddenly disappeared from where he was standing, and the ground below was shattered from the force of his jump. Suho charged at Minsong in the air with incredible speed. From Teal's true body, he thought that Suho's incoming attack definitely carried dangerous mana, but he was confident that he would never get hit by an attack that obvious. So Teal-possessed Minsong simply counterattacked with his multi-lash attack before Suho could reach him completely. Suho was wounded by the strike, and not only was he hurt, it seemed Minsong had successfully stopped him. Because of this, Teal became overconfident and remarked that Suho could probably still use his authority skill even if he lost a leg. At first glance, it looked like Suho had lost consciousness, but he suddenly said, "Wow," upon realizing that what he was currently trying to do with shadow form change was actually working. Now behind Minsong, Shika was there, and he was the one wielding the Demon Strike. Minsong had no way to react, and he was caught completely off guard. So the attack landed directly on his cheek, and the sheer force of the strike shattered his teeth. He was sent flying at an incredible speed, and a huge portion of the mountain he crashed into was destroyed. After the smoke cleared from the rubble, we saw the aftermath of Suho and Essel's bond skill impact. The entire area was in ruins. From Teal's true body, we saw that he was now bleeding and in disbelief at what Suho had done. It was the first time he had witnessed the use of authority to transfer a skill to a shadow soldier. Teal wanted to speak to Suho using Minsung's body, but he couldn't anymore because it looked like Minsung's jaw had been completely destroyed. Minsung's body could still move, so Teal decided to squeeze out what little life force was left to replenish some mana so he could continue fighting. But then Teal was suddenly shocked because Minsung's consciousness was beginning to awaken. And little by little, he was taking back control of his own body. Teal realized this happened because of the impact from Suho's earlier attack. He couldn't believe it, and Minsung even mocked him within his own consciousness. Minsung asked Teal what it felt like to be outdone by someone lower ranked as an S rank. Teal was completely pissed off and warned that if Minsung didn't stop, he would regret it. But Minsung simply asked Teal back what he planned to do to him. Was he going to kill him? Minsung asked if Teal really thought he was afraid to die. Minsung explained that the only thing he hated was being looked down on and not having his existence acknowledged. And as he crushed open his own chest, Minsung said that if ever he had the chance to give people who underestimated him a taste of their own medicine, he would definitely take it. Then Minsung's eyes widened in surprise when he saw Suho approaching him. Since he could no longer speak, he simply welcomed Suho within his thoughts and said that even if he wasn't the protagonist of the story, he would faithfully perform the role assigned to him. Now that Minsung had successfully shattered his own chest armor, he smiled at Suho with intense aura and mentally shouted that this was his final role as the villain. From Minsung's own point of view, we saw that Suho had already charged a powerful punch, and not long after the final attack landed, an attack that Minsung had prepared to take head-on. The force of the strike was massive, and its impact tore through the mountain behind Minsung.
Feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should go. Go. Feel like I should go. Feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should go.